It's Friday, March 21. In the headlines, national minimum wage will increase in June. Supreme Court blocks Portmore Parish law with injunction. In business news, Scotia Investment says it is the #1 unit trust. Regionally, call for clarity on requirements for regional debt for climate change swap. And in sports, Raymond Richards wins Jamaica's first medal at World Athletics Indoor Championships. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The national minimum wage will increase from $15,000 per 40-hour work week to $16,000 per 40-hour work week. The increase will be effective as of June 1, 2025. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness announced this and other changes while making his contribution to the 2025-2026 budget debates in Parliament on Thursday. The minimum wage was last increased on June 1 last year, when it moved to $15,000 per week from $13,000.
This represents a 6.7% increase, reinforcing our commitment to improving the livelihoods of our lowest paid workers while ensuring economic stability.
Meanwhile, 50,000 vulnerable Jamaicans are set to benefit from a new $1 billion initiative. Prime Minister Holness says the Solidarity Program will provide a one-time cash grant of $20,000 to individuals who are not enrolled in the Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, or receiving benefits such as social pensions, national insurance scheme payouts, or the government's reverse income tax credit.
So even Jamaicans who are not attached to anything, the state has compassion for you. The state is concerned about your welfare. The state cares about you. We stand in solidarity.
The program targets a wide range of vulnerable groups.
So the initiative will support elderly persons in need, youth not engaged in education or employment, micro businesses affected by disaster, low-income informal workers, medically indigent individuals, and persons with disabilities facing economic hardship.
The Supreme Court has issued an injunction halting the enforcement of the controversial Portmore Parish law. Chief Justice Brian Sykes granted the order on Thursday, preventing the law from taking effect. The opposition People's National Party, PNP, has argued that the law is unconstitutional. The injunction will remain in place until March 28, when the parties are scheduled to return to court. The court granted 2 orders. 1, a prohibition preventing any government minister, including the second respondent, from setting a date for the Counties and Parish Amendment Act 2025 to come into effect until further notice from the court. 2, alternatively, if a date has been set before a court order is issued, the act will be treated as not in operation by all parties for all purposes until further instructions from the court. The claimants in the case include Fitz Jackson, Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southern, Portmore Mayor Leon Thomas, and councillors Claude Hamilton and Van Rick Preddy. Big changes are coming for home ownership in Jamaica. The National Housing Trust is increasing its loan limit, making it easier for more Jamaicans to own a home. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness made the announcement during his 2025-2026 budget debate presentation in Parliament.
Madam Speaker, the NHD increased the loan limit in 2019 and again in 2023, and I'm pleased to announce a further increase effective July 1, 2025. The individual loan limit will be increased from $7.5 million to $9 million. For two co-applicants, the combined maximum loan limit will be increased from $15 million to $17 million. And for three co-applicants, it will be increased from $21 million to $23 million.
Dr. Holness also assured that homes in the target range of $14 million will be available under the National Housing Trust's programs.
So what we have done is to give a greater loan limit for houses that are going to be at what we call affordable price point. And the affordable price point for the NHD is $14 million. In fact, Madam Speaker, we have given a policy directive to the NHD that all their resources should now be directed at producing houses that are around this price point.
He says his government will also be lowering the deposit requirements for low-income earners from 5% to just 2%.
The inability to find the deposit for property figures prominently among the impediments to homeowners. Therefore, commencing July 1, 2025, for contributors who earn less than $30,000 weekly, the deposit requirement on open market loans will be reduced to 2% if the housing solution being acquired is priced at or below $14 million.
Prime Minister Holness also announced that contribution for private sector mortgages will have the option for their refund to be applied to their existing mortgage obligations.
Effective July 1, 2025, private sector mortgagors will have the option of either a cash refund or the application of their refund amounts to their existing mortgage obligations, provided that the loan is free of arrears. Madam Speaker, this will be assessed on a year-by-year basis based upon the NHD's cash flow position.
The Prime Minister also announced plans to expand the home grant.
Madam Speaker, currently a minimum wage earner who has contributed to the NHD for at least 7 years may access a home grant of up to $3.5 million. We are modifying the eligibility requirement in order to make the grant available to more contributors. The maximum qualifying income for home grants will now be $30,000 per week.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, has reaffirmed that Jamaica's bilateral medical cooperation with Cuba has been in place for over 50 years and remains a cornerstone of the country's healthcare system, providing critical services in various public health facilities. In a statement to the nation, she emphasizes the review of the program has already begun well before recent international scrutiny. While acknowledging the need for improvements in its administration, she stressed that the program cannot be associated with human trafficking. She says, quote, Jamaica's non-adversarial handling of this matter reflects not only our practice of diplomacy, but the strength of our bilateral relationships with Cuba and the United States. Our structured process of review and engagement is progressing well, and we remain confident in the integrity of this program. End quote. She also noted ongoing diplomatic discussions with the Cuban foreign minister, U.S. embassy representatives, and CARICOM foreign ministers to ensure the best outcomes. The Medical Cooperation Program, which has been active since 1976, operates under Memoranda of Understanding upheld by successive Jamaican administrations. Minister Johnson Smith clarified that the government began reviewing and improving administrative processes for the renewal of the MOU. In business news, Scotia Investments Senior Manager of Wealth Services, Shireen Todd, says in a release that Scotia Investments Jamaica Limited local trust funds ranked number 1 in performance, beating competitors for 2024. For example, the Scotia Premium Short-Term Income Fund generated a rate of return of 8.68% from investments in short-term fixed income securities and money market securities. The Scotia Premium Growth Fund generated a rate return of 9.64%, which ranked it in the top 3 of the 9 funds in its peer group. It also outperformed the Jamaica Stock Exchange's main index, which climbed by 6.54% for the year. The executives continue to shift their stock market portfolio in the listed companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Indies Pharma Jamaica Limited has advised that the director purchased 35 million Indies shares on March 19, 2025. The Jamaica Stock Exchange has organized a CEO forum, Fortifying the CEO, Decision-Making in the Age of AI, in association with Amazon Inc. and McKinsey & Company, focusing on the impact of AI on business leadership and decision-making. Kevin Powell, principal of JSE eCampus, tells us more.
Thank you, Denise. It's my pleasure being here to talk about a very, as you said, auspicious event that's happening next week, Thursday, March 27, at the Courtly Hotel and Suites. It's the 3rd annual CEO Forum of the Jamaica Stock Exchange's eCampus. And this forum is an auspicious one because we're doing it in partnership and in collaboration with our international consulting firm and partners, McKinsey & Company. The title of this event is Unlocking Potential, Leadership Strategies for Success in Navigating Global Uncertainties. And certainly we are living in a world that's ever-changing, volatile, ever, advancing with technology and digital transformation. And so to unpack and unearth knowledge and information and just kind of an opportunity for CEOs to network and to share their own experiences. An investment in this workshop is very crucial. There is a misunderstanding, perhaps an assumption that CEOs know everything, but that's not true. We are giving CEOs an opportunity for them to learn more, to share, and to grow from this experience. For more information about our upcoming forum, I want you to visit our website, the jseecampus.com. That's jseecampus.com/events. And you will go there to that page and you'll register and you will read up more about the event. We have profile of our speakers, we have the agenda for the day, and we certainly have an overview and a brief of what to expect on that day. So that's jseecampus.com/events, and you will learn more about this event. And certainly we want you to register for this upcoming event on March 27th, 2025 at the Courtly Hotel and Suites beginning at 9 a.m.
Time now for the market highlights with Denise Williams.
For the trading period ending March 20, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Pharmaceutical distribution firm Indies Pharma Jamaica Limited ordinary shares with 9,925,199 units traded, representing 37.96% of market sales volume. Real estate and billboard advertising firm Kentire Holdings Jamaica Limited with 1,900,000 946,033 units traded, representing 7.44% of market sales volume. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 1,749,988 units traded, representing 6.69% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On March 20, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $66.77 million purchased and US $55.42 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.35 per dollar, selling the US at $157.56 and buying the US at $156.21. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders 25 cents per transaction, with selling at $109.83 and buying at $109.58. The British pound yielded Forex traders $6.65 in profit, with selling at $205.95 and buying at $199.30.
For our credit report tip of the day, if you owe more than $300,000 and feel like there's no way out, bankruptcy could be the financial reset you need. While it does come with challenges, the structure of the bankruptcy process in Jamaica is designed to help you eliminate debt, protect essential assets, and rebuild over the next 7 years. First, create a timeline for the financial recovery. The 7-year timeline for bankruptcy in Jamaica allows you to plan long-term. By the time your bankruptcy record is removed, you can be in a much stronger financial position with good credit habits in place. Second, it gives you a second chance at wealth creation. Bankruptcy is not the end of your financial journey. It is the beginning of a smarter, more strategic approach to money. By learning from past mistakes and taking advantage of new opportunities, you can build a stronger financial future. In regional news, CARICOM Chair and Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley is calling for clarity on what's needed for a regional debt for climate swap. The issue was a key focus at this week's Green Climate Fund special session in St. Kitts and Nevis, where the Caribbean leaders discussed debt for climate transactions, energy, and infrastructure funding. Prime Minister Mottley warns that the region is heavily indebted and needs a way to break financial barriers. She's pushing for a unified approach similar to Barbados' Resilience and Regeneration Fund to help secure sustainable funding for climate resilience.
Last year, Grenada did not have to face what it faced with the recovery of Carriacou. Last year, St. Vincent and the Grenadines did not have to face what it has to face with the recovery of Union Island and Mayro and the other islands that have been affected. Last year, Barbados, little known fact to most of you, did not have to face what we are facing now, with having to build back a temporary fishing harbor for $16 million US, knowing full well that it is not going to last, having to confront the cost of potentially as much as a quarter billion US, 250 million US for a new fishing harbor, having to repair the Coast Guard station, having to do at least $30 million US in repair works to the port. Anywhere up to 1 or 1.5% of GDP should be capable of being provided on an annual basis towards resilience without prejudice to what we can raise regionally in a resilience bond to be able to help the Blue-Green Bank, to be able to help the CARICOM Development Fund, to be able to help the Caribbean Development Bank. If we can do that, then I believe we can move the needle. And that's why Bridgetown 3.0 talks specifically about unlocking domestic resource mobilization, because you can't ask, God helps who? The people that help themselves. And if we're going to ask people to help us, we need to do a damn better job of helping ourselves than we're currently doing at a regional level.
Another government minister has stepped forward with a strong stance in support of the relationship between Grenada and Cuba. Grenada's finance minister, Dennis Cornwall, who studied in Cuba, says he's willing to lose his U.S. visa over what the U.S. has classified as Cuban labor export program.
Leaders in the Caribbean are showing a united front against the U.S. government policy, demanding regional leaders distance themselves from the Cuban medical missions or face the loss of their U.S. visas. Finance Minister Dennis Cornwall is the second government minister in Grenada to step forward to say, take the visa if that's what it costs to remain standing with the Cuban people. The U.S. administration announced on the State Department website this expanded policy applies to current or former Cuban government officials and other individuals, including foreign government officials, who are believed to be responsible for or involved in the Cuban labor export program, particularly Cuba's overseas medical missions. This policy does not sit well with Minister Cornwall.
My government has already cited that we are prepared to go to the extreme to make sure that we keep our people safe. So if it means that we have to give up our visa rights to the U.S. to make sure that Grenada stands behind Cuba as one of the countries that supported Grenada in thick and thin. I personally was one of the persons who graduated from Cuba University back in the days and so on. I got a scholarship to Cuba. And as such, I have a moral obligation to support the Cubans in every way. So if it means that the government of the U.S. decided to take away our visas because we support the Cuban initiative, I would say so be it.
Yeah. The finance minister explained the importance of this initiative to Grenada Wednesday morning on the To The Point program.
Cuban doctors and nurses who have visited our shows over the years and perform a valuable service for our people. We complain every day that the service in the hospital is bad. But we have Grenadians who are graduated from St. George University, Grenadians, and they are not here to basically support the health system. So if we can depend on the Cuban graduates to basically help the system until we can fix it to a point, I would say so be it. And I'd fully support the Cubans at any time, anywhere, because I think they are doing a very useful and human service to the government of Grenada and the people of Grenada.
In his recent contribution to the 2025 budget debate, Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Andel shared similar sentiment. He said Grenada has a legal, moral, and ethical obligation to stand by the people of Cuba.
Cuba continues to be a trustworthy friend and partner, not only of Grenada, not only of the Caribbean, but of peoples the world over. When the COVID pandemic broke out, Cuban doctors went as far as Italy to provide services. I didn't hear anybody talk about human trafficking or nothing like that. Were it not for the selfless support of Cuba, many of us would not have had the opportunities for further education that we got.
Andel, also a graduate from Cuba, said the island's healthcare system could collapse if the Cuban medical personnel are removed. Ministers Cornwall and Andel joined other government ministers and prime ministers in the Caribbean denouncing the policy by the Donald Trump administration. Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
Amid U.S. scrutiny, the Antigua and Barbuda government is revising its payment structure for the Cuban Medical Brigade. Doctors and nurses will now receive 100% of their contractual earnings, rather than a portion. The government continues to reject claims from Washington that the program involves forced labor or exploitation. Shanakisha Francis reports.
Cabinet has firmly rejected the Trump administration's recent labeling of the Cuban Medical Brigade as engaging in human trafficking. The government of Antigua and Barbuda maintains that the payment method and contractual agreement between Cuba and Antigua and Barbuda clearly disproves such claims. Ambassador Lionel Hurst addressed the matter Thursday morning, strongly disagreeing with the United States' position.
We don't agree with the United States that Cuba is an enemy. Cuba is not an enemy of Antigua and Barbuda, and we have no intentions of treating Cuba in that way.
He emphasizes each medical professional will receive 100% of their agreed payment, rather than a portion.
We agreed to adjust the way we pay the Cuban doctors and nurses so that there can be no claim whatever, no substantive claim whatever that there is any kind of human trafficking.
Ambassador Hurst also recognizes the possibility of economic damage to the country.
Well, they can cause us significant economic damage. We are very much aware of that. But we don't cower. What we attempt to do is to respond in a magnificent manner that is reminiscent of the VC Bird approach to those who are attempting to hurt Antigua and Barbuda.
He says the government remains committed to ensuring fair and equitable treatment for workers and affirms that the Cuban Medical Brigade's work continues to contribute positively to healthcare services in the country. Shanakisha Francis, ABS News.
In sports, we begin with athletics. Raymond Richards made history by winning Jamaica's first ever medal at the World Athletics Indoor Championships, claiming the bronze in the men's high jump. The event took place in Nanjing, China on Friday morning, Jamaica time, with Richards clearing a height of 2.28 meters. Competing in his first international championship, the former Buff Bay High athlete impressed by clearing the first three heights, 2.14 meters, 2.20 meters, and 2.24 meters on his first attempt. He then successfully cleared 2.28 meters on his second attempt to secure his place on the podium. Before we go, today, March 21, is World Down Syndrome Day. It's a day to bring awareness to the world around understanding what Down syndrome is and also understanding how people with Down syndrome live and contribute to society. Denise Williams is a mother of a young man living with the syndrome, and they're both part of the Jamaica Down Syndrome Association.
I am the proud mama of a 14-year-old son, Denville, with Down syndrome. And every year, March 21st, we commemorate those who are living with the condition of Down syndrome. So why 21 and what's going on? Well, medically, Down syndrome is known as trisomy 21. And this speaks to the sort of mismatch of chromosomes that happen before birth. Okay, and so how are we commemorating, celebrating, recognizing the persons in the family with this condition? Well, we're asking you today to wear mismatch socks. Rock your socks. Do not come to work in a pair of socks. Wear two different pairs of socks and join the celebration. Take a photo of your socks, post it on social media, tag Jamaica Down Syndrome Foundation in your post. Give the love, give the support.
And that's it for the weekend news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.